Okay, let's try this again. Welcome to Thankful Thursdays. Hopefully, this will work this time. Okay, so let's just try this. Let me go over again. I'm going to say go live on Instagram. The wonders of technology, right? That all this stuff always happens. So let me go and share this. Hopefully, it's sharing on Facebook. I can share it to my group, which it doesn't want to share on Facebook. Let's see what it's doing. You guys, this is not my day technology-wise because it is just not reloading. Let's see if I can get this. I cannot. Okay, let me go back to OBS. Okay, it says it's streaming, but it doesn't want to show. Let me try this over here on Facebook. Oh gosh, you know what? It's going to lock me out if I try that. Okay, you guys, if you could tell me if my audio is working this time, that would be great. So I'm going to go over. Okay, there's audio. Okay, so now next I need to share into the Facebook group. If this does not work, Joanne, I do not know if you're on. I don't know if you can share into the Facebook group. It is not showing it for me. You know what I could do is I could put it. Oh, wait. I found it. Oh. Share your group. Quilting with Amanda Murphy. Post. Okay. So that's good. Okay. So you guys say I have sound now. Okay. Sorry for the delay today. I honestly don't know what that was about. It was like the streaming software freaked out or something because what's weird is the sound went down on all the channels. But we're back up now. And as I said before, I think today I'm going to show you a bunch of all over fills for basic quilts, right? So that's what I thought I'd do. I am going to be working in a panel just because I don't want to waste the fabric. And I found this panel that has areas that I'm not going to quilt, that I can quilt in. I'm going to show you a few different options for really basic all over designs. Okay. Now, most of these designs, yes, you could start in the center, work out, but some of these designs you have to start from the bottom and work up. And because I'm working in a smaller area, because this is what I have fabric for, in some cases, I'm going to show you the design with a smaller template than I'd really use for just an all-over soft quilt, like a baby quilt. But it's the same principle, just with the bigger version of the template, right? Okay, before I get started, you guys know I pasted on Facebook. I have all the places I'll be teaching for the first kind of half or the first 5 months of this coming year. So let me just go to, I'm going to just read off them. Open recent, do master. Okay. December 5th through 7th, 35th Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona. January 9th through 11th, authorized Sew and Vac in Fresno, California. February 4th to 6th, the Creative Center, Bernina Creative Center. That is in Aurora, outside of Chicago. That is a frame class. March 18th through 20th, Chestnut Ridge in Millersburg, Ohio. April 9th through 11th, Hoover's in Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania. April 24th to 26th, Montevilla Sewing in Portland, Oregon, and May 1st through 3rd, Quality Sewing in the Seattle, Washington area. So that is where you can find me in person. Okay, so as usual, have to go through this. Sorry, guys. If you guys are influenced to buy Bernina and you live in the U.S., if you contact me before you put any money down, I can send you a rebate coupon for a $100 rebate. The hitch is you have to contact me before you put money down, right? So all of you who want the L890 Surgers or the Bernina 990s or, of course, the Q Series, any of that qualifies, as does software, as long as it's over $1,000. So the full version of software, as does a frame if you were moving up from a sit down to a frame. But you got to contact me before you put any money down, right? Okay, so that's how that works. Let's see. What else? Scheduling for these live streams. So obviously, we're doing the second, third Thursdays of the month because of my travel schedule this month. So this is the third Thursday. American Thanksgiving is the fourth Thursday. Not doing a broadcast that week, and I am flying to 35th Avenue to do an event the first Thursday of December. So for the December, I think what we're going to do, and my travel plans might change a little. So is the second and third Thursdays again, I think. But I'll let you guys know. I'll post on Facebook. Facebook. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I was telling you, I'm experimenting upstairs with the 990. At the same time, I quilt a quilt. I'm doing neither one fast, but I am getting it done. I probably should concentrate on one or the other, but I just keep getting distracted. So that is what's on the tap for me today. Now, I seem to only have one glove, which I know I had two gloves earlier. So where did the other glove go when I was setting up? I may find it yet. I know I had two. Okay, we're just going to start. I don't have my nails done. So you may see me without a glove, without my nails done. But anyway, so let's get started, shall we? I don't know what I'm going to do for a Thanksgiving sale. There was um, like a Black Friday type of thing. There's a collection that I wanted to get cut in the warehouse, but I don't know if I'll get cut. I have family coming into town and I have a ton of different deadlines for BU stuff. I don't know if I'm going to get it cut yet. I might do something for it. My plan is in the new year, I have 3 collections sitting in my warehouse, like really hard to find collections that will no longer be in stores. And I had bought them years ago. And I was like, okay, I'll have time to cut them up. I haven't. I'm going to cut one of those collections coming up for a New Year's sale at the year end. For those of you who are always searching for my hard to find fabrics, I don't know which one I'm going to cut yet, but I'm going to cut something. But it won't be for Black Friday. It will be for the year end. And that is because all my BU stuff is due like at the year end. So I need to get going on that. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So the first all over pattern I was going to do for you guys is purely free motion. Let me move all these rulers, except for that guy. And so it is a free motion pattern that I normally do with gripper rings. I'm not going to do it here with gripper rings because almost everything I show you today is going to be ruler work except for this, or some combination of ruler work and free motion. So I'm just going to show it with free motion. And I'm first going to outline the block, but you wouldn't really need to do that. Oh, look, more gloves. Second glove. Okay, you guys. I'm going to take out some of these basting stitches that I had done earlier. So let me, okay. Let's force it. This camera's pretty good, but it doesn't know how to autofocus. So you have to kind of prompt it to focus. So I'm just removing basting stitches that I had in here from before. I had basted this a long time ago to show you guys something. Okay. The problem with restarting your live stream is you really don't remember what you said on this live stream versus the other one. But we'll just get going. So the first thing, because I'm doing this in the block, I'm gonna quilt around the block, right? Just to kind of control everything, and then I'm gonna do a fill. So needle down, needle up, presser foot up. I am quilting with perfect quilting thread. I pull up on that top thread to bring up the bobbin, and I'm quilting with perfect quilting thread, which I have for sale on my website, but you'll find even more colors in shops. And this is my every angle template. It has the little cheater line. It's sort of a combination of my original every angle, which is just a straight line template, right? And my Jubilee template, I wasn't even going to do this one, but you guys kept asking for it. The Jubilee template has these little hooks that help you line up the seam to where you're stitching. So, normally I'm looking 2 to 3 inches ahead, and I'm looking at the 1/4 inch from the edge of the ruler to the seam that I'm trying to hit. This is my vibrancy panel. This is one of my vibrancy panels. So, yeah, so that has that little cheater line. So this is the Every Angle Plus. And I'm going to go in BSR2 since I'm on a Q series, and I'm going to change my stitch length to something really little just to get started, even though obviously I'm not using this for anything serious. And then maybe I should move my rulers off so I'm not carrying around the extra weight. Okay. You know what? I'm going to take my slippers off underneath the table. I hate sewing with shoes on, and I'd rather have my foot directly on the pedal. Okay, now I was getting a little bit of fuzz here because this is wool batting, and wool batting likes to shed. It's a beautiful, beautiful batting. It's really, it's actually cool and warm at the same time because it breathes. Okay. The wonders of a completely flat table. You can sew so much more longer without stopping, right? Okay, so now we're going to pretend like this is a full quilt top, and I'm going to show you just this basic um, pattern. So basically, you do a big meander. This is probably the fastest free motion design that I know of to fill a quilt quickly. And this is a 6-inch square. I'm going to do it kind of a medium uh, fill here, but you could do it much larger if you were doing it over a whole quilt with gripper rings, right? You could do it much, much larger. I'm just going to do it a little smaller here. My wool batting is, I'm sure it's Quilter's Dream Wool. Okay. So I'm kind of doing a gentle meander, and you go all the way across the quilt sandwich with this, like completely fill the quilt sandwich with a gentle meander. And then if you wanted to, this looks very good in variegated thread, but you also could change thread on the second pass. And so then you travel back, but you let your lines kind of loosely go over your previous lines, right? So you would do this all over the quilt. Okay. Um, Barbara, she says she has trouble keeping her foot next to the ruler when going horizontal. Literally, that's practice. It's knowing the amount of pressure you need into the foot versus the amount of pressure you need into the table. I actually have less pressure into the table than people think. No, Gloria, I was using BSR2 right now. Um, uh, because I'm going to show you ruler work, so I just had it on BSR2. Okay. And if I was using manual, I definitely wouldn't be going that fast. What needles do I recommend for the Q24 and the perfect quilting thread? I've been using jeans 90 mostly. Sometimes I'll use a jeans 80, but I'd say I use a jeans 90 the most. Um, let's see. Okay, so that would be one basic overall pattern. So in that um, vein, okay, I'm going to end my thread by doing tiny stitches. So I'm going on the screen and changing it to tiny stitches. Needle up and presser foot up. Grab that thread, do one more stitch, and that's what brings the bobbin thread to the top, and then I clip my threads. So obviously that's not very pretty in a block done so big because it kind of looks uneven. But this is really pretty as an all over pattern for a quilt. Okay, so the next thing that I would do Just remove my stitches from the next thing. I'm going to show you a pattern I use a lot that works well on patriotic like type quilts, like what do they call the ones that they do for charity for the armed servicemen? I don't know why that's clicking out of my head right now, but it is. Um, so for those type of quilts, oftentimes I'll use a combination of ruler work and free motion. And so I'm not going to bother going around the block in this case, okay? I'm just going to show you something. So I have a little star. This little star is excellent for doing like, and probably the next littlest too, is really good when you want to do a pattern with like a little quilts of valor. Thank you guys. So it's really good for when you want to have an all over free motion pattern, but then also you want to do a little bit of ruler work too. And basically, it's you can either do loops or a meander, and then once in a while you put in a star, right? And the star kind of looks more even than if you free motion the star, but really you're just using it as a little crutch. Okay, so let's do this here. You guys really, I hate it when advertisers come in my group. Let me block user, add to block list. Okay. You get these people who come in and crash your videos. It's really annoying. Okay, so what I'm going to do loops just because I did kind of a meander for the other one. And I'm going to do loops and then fit in a star. Whoops, I need to change my stitch length back to something more normal. And then I hook on a star. Now, the nice thing with the stars, you're not really supposed to quilt in the channel, right? That's so you can hook it on to your foot. Okay, so it gives me this lovely little even star. And if I wanted it to be a bigger pattern, I would, of course, use a bigger star, right? And now I'll go over here, maybe put a little loop on my way, and here I'm going to do kind of a partial star like it's off the side. I just want to show you guys how you would handle this. So if you wanted to do partial off the side, you just hold the ruler and you kind of like free motion over. So you almost have a cut off star, right? And I'm going to go over here and fit in another loop. Okay, and then I would fit in another star. This is another one that looks really great in variegated thread. Like for the Quilts of Valor thing, you could use red, white, and blue thread, right? And it just looks really pretty. It's really forgiving. Okay, and if I wanted to do, I could do another partial star over there. But that you get the idea for this. Okay. Um, so, okay, so now we're going to talk all of our patterns that are just ruler work. Obviously, like clamshells are a big one. So the first thing I do with a clamshell quilt is I base the whole quilt. I would thread base, and you guys know with the Q series, that's how I thread basted this, right? But if you were on a domestic machine, you could turn the speed ray down and basically free motion, barely touching the foot pedal, and you'd get big, long stitches, okay? Oftentimes I will do that with the ruler, but not always. So I'm taking these stitches out from the underside, and you would have to start quilting the clamshell from the bottom of the quilt up. I do this even on a frame. I would baste all the way down to the bottom and then quilt up because if you turn the design upside down, sometimes it's hard to hold the ruler behind the foot in that case, just the way clamshells are formed. Now, if I was doing this on a baby quilt, I wouldn't want a ton of, um, I wouldn't want uh, a ton of thread. So I wouldn't be using this side of the ruler that I'm going to use. I would be using a big side of the ruler. When doing an all over pattern, where do you start in the quilt? Generally, Gloria, I would start in the middle, but in a design like the clamshells, I would not start in the middle. I'd start at the bottom because you need the markings on the clamshell to line up with the previous row, etc. So when I'm showing you with the clamshell, I'm showing you with a smaller clamshell, but you could do this with a bigger one. Oh, you know what? I have the wrong ruler foot for this. It's going to be a pain in the neck. I do not have a 72 foot. Okay, we're going to try it, but honestly, I like the 72 foot for my clamshells because let me show you something about the 96 foot. Hey, this is Bernina's 96 foot, and it was made just for the long arm. It is not made for the domestic machines because it doesn't have a spring, and the spring prevents the needle bar from crashing into the foot. The reason why I said this is the wrong foot for this job is it likes to get stuck in this clamshell, okay? Because it's a square profile at the bottom instead of a curved. I don't think I have a curved down here to show you like the 72 or 72S. That has a curved profile at the bottom that gets stuck less than this one. So when I'm demoing this, I think you can use your imagination. I'm not going to go push myself all the way down because it's going to want to stick, but you guys are going to get kind of what I mean, okay? So remember, with the clamshell, you want to use the 72 or the 72S. You really don't want to use the 96. So, okay, so what I do is I'd come up over here. And also with the clamshell, if you're on a frame, you have to hold near where the needle is. You can't hold over here because then this will flag up and you potentially are going to crash down on a ruler. So I'm just going to be very cognizant as I come around this foot. See how it wants to lift that ruler? I'm not going to let it. But I highly recommend you use the 72 and not the 96 for the clamshell. I mean, I am really holding it down. Did you see that? So when you get to the end, you can either go up the side to get to the point on the next row, or you can come up to the top of whatever clamshell you just finished. Then you move this up and see how the lines go over the lines on the quilting. And now you'd have to do a partial clamshell, right? If you do that option I just showed you. It's going to want to lift that. I'm not letting it. But again, if you have a 72 foot, it won't be quite as bad for the lifting, okay? And again, if I was doing a baby quilt, I would choose the 4-inch side of the clamshell rather than the 2-inch because that's going to lead to a more open design and a softer quilt, okay? So clamshells, they're good for overall, but I definitely use the 3 or 4-inch side if I'm just doing it all over fill on a quilt. So now you guys understand how to get out basting, right? I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to run over and I'm going to do a hexagon fill. Now, the hexagons, let me turn over so you guys can see my face. Okay, so hexagon rulers. They are great for overall fills. And I'm going to show you it with a smaller hexagon just to give you an idea how it works because I have this, etc. And I want to, let's see. So I'm going to show you it with like a small hexagon so you see how it works. But really, this is the small ones from every hexagon, set 1. This is from set 2. If I wanted a really soft quilt without a lot of thread buildup, I'd be using this. It's just I'd have to have a big quilting space for you guys to really see, right? So we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so I just like quilted over to the other side. On a frame, yes, Barb, that's what I was saying. On designs where you have to work from the bottom up, you have two options on a frame. Either you would have to turn the whole design upside down and quilt kind of the underside going down. And the problem with that in the case of this ruler is it's going to be really awkward to hold behind the foot. Okay? It's just oftentimes when you have to hold behind the foot on the frame, you're only doing it for a short part of the arc, etc. But if I'm doing a whole quilt and I have to hold behind here, that's going to be awkward. So instead, I would base down and then work up for both the clamshells and the hexagons. I would base down and work up. And when I'm basting down, I probably do a line of basting stitches every 4 inches, only 1 stitch per inch because it's super easy to get out. So that is how I do it, right? Now, with the clamshells, it works just fine with the 96 foot. I'm sorry, with the hexagons, it works fine with the 96 foot. I don't feel there's any advantage to do 96 versus 72 like I do with the clamshells. Clamshells, you're going to use the 72 or 72S. Probably the 72 because since you're traveling up and over that way, the S that's on the slit foot might cause the thread to pop out. Because you're going back in that direction a lot. Okay. So next, I'd be using a bigger hexagon, but I just want you guys to see how it works up really fast because then I have to go and do other things. Next week, or the next time I see you, which will be the second Thursday in December, we're going to do something fun with the semicircles because I've had that in my head for a while and I want to do something. So you guys know for the hexagons, there's a ton of videos online. I have or actually for any of my rulers, there's a lot of videos online. So if you forget like how to do a hexagon, look up the video on YouTube on hexagons. If you search for every hexagon, Amanda Murphy, you'll get my tutorial videos. So the thing about hexagons is if you do the rows side to side and you start from the bottom and work up, if you do the rows side to side, you'll get all hexagons. If you do them point to point, you get hexagons and diamonds. So here I'm doing it side to side. So I'm basically quilting the top of the hexagon, right? And then I'm quilting up and down the side. And the top of the hexagon. So I'm only quilting for an all over fill. I'm quilting the top and the sides, but not the bottom because the bottom is shared with a previous row. Now this is going to look like a mess because obviously I did not base the side of this quilt, but you guys get the idea. So now these lines go over, the black lines go over the previous quilting lines. And as I said, this is going to look like a mess up here for a minute. Because I didn't base the side of my quilt. But as you work back across the row, you're in essence doing the same thing. Right? You're quilting back across. I can see my ruler shifted a little bit here, so I'm just adjusting as needed. Right? And you continue working back and forth from the bottom of the quilt up. Now, here's the deal. If you were on a sit down, if you were not on a frame, what you could do would be to mark the center of your quilt, like a vertical or horizontal center of the quilt. Work a row of hexagons using the center line on the hexagon ruler right down the center of the quilt, and then you could work out either directions. On a frame, that's not a good idea. On the frame, you base down, and then you start from the bottom, work up. But for this particular design, unlike the clamshells, see how the clamshells all go, like you're always dependent on the row beneath it. So clamshells must be worked from the bottom up. But then the hexagons, you could do a center hexagon row, quilting the tops and the bottoms, and then expand your rows in both directions. Now, I just want to show you really quick what you would get if you did the hexagons point to point. Okay, so point to point, what I mean is I'm going to do a row of hexagons, okay? So I'm basically doing a hexagon and a half and then moving my ruler, and the white lines go over the previous lines, and then I do a hexagon. So this would be through the center of your quilt, a row of hexagon, like point to point hexagons. Okay, and so I'd go all the way across my quilt, and I'd come up here, and I'd do the next row. But what I want you to see is what happens with the next row. So I'm not doing that segment again, but I'm just moving this over, right? So these are point to point. And what you basically get, let me move this so you guys can see it, is you get hexagons and diamonds, right? So this is where you have a row, you're doing point to point hexagons and expanding outward. And this is where you have a row of side to side hexagons and expand outward. So once again, with clamshells, you have to work from the bottom up, right? With hexagons, because you can do a hexagon row in the center and work out on either side because basically they're symmetrical designs. It's the same design in both ways. Okay. So, I mean, I think these are some of my favorite designs. I could go on and on with different designs that I like to do, like all over patterns, but these are some that can be very open and don't take a lot of time. Like you can finish these pretty quickly. And especially for when you have like very busy fabrics where you're not going to see things, these are a good option. Okay. So just because I got like 4 emails this week asking for this. So let's see. Doesn't matter to use circles using straight blocks or square blocks and curves on straight blocks. I don't know. I think, Georgia, I think you're asking me a design question. Does it matter? Like, should you always do curvy on square or square on curvy? I don't know that it matters. I sort of just do what I want. Um, but here's where I would say, if you're working on a frame and you have a design, a very simple piece design, right? Um, and it has a lot of straight lines, like a lot of horizontal seams. Oftentimes, it's more forgiving to do something curvy on that because what happens if you don't is if your quilt gets misaligned as you're going. So if the horizontal quilting, like say you did a straight line design and it goes off the seam because as you work down the quilt, it just moves a little bit. Oftentimes that can look messy. So in that case, yes, I tend to choose something that is not as reliant on being parallel. Uh, it just depends on what it is, right? Okay, so till next time, I do still have like, I think I have like half a dozen quilt kits of Moonlit Forest, which is behind me in the pink and green and the blue and orange. Once those are gone, those are gone. I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I know no new kits or anything like that will be on sale. Kits take so long to cut. Um, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I do know that I will probably cut a new collection around the new year. Also, Cityscape is going to start to ship. I'm still quilting a couple of those quilts, but that is it. I'm glad we got the sound working. I have no idea why it doesn't by a dinner the first time, but I apologize for that. And I will see you next time. Okay, have a good day.